My name is Marshall Howard, and I was born and raised in West Texas. I'm sure you can tell from my accent. I don't know about you, but I feel like the American people deserve some good news for a change. We've all watched as this country seems to have gone crazy in the last few years. Between the COVID pandemic, out of touch politicians, rising inflation causing unbelievably high gas and grocery prices, and high interest rates combined together to bring many hardworking American people to their knees. In a recent poll, over 70% of American families reported having a hard time making ends meet and keeping their children fed, even though dads and moms are both working jobs outside the home. We are all blessed to live in the greatest country in the world, but we are in times when the American people desperately need help right now. But finally, some really good news is coming that is about to bless the American people in a very big way. Now, let me explain how this has all come about. A man by the name of Peter Rancy, who was born in Australia and gained broad international experience as a banking consultant, has been a strategic advisor to several of the world's top 100 banks, insurance companies, and fund managers, and in the process created billions of dollars of fund flow to client institutions with out-of-the-box disruptive strategies. 25 years ago, he moved to the United States, and during the past decade, his primary banking focus has been helping small U.S. community banks in their battle to survive in an economy dominated by the big banks in this country. The number of small community-owned banks has dropped by almost half in the last 20 years because they just can't get enough new customers to compete. Peter is a co-founder of the United States Banking Association, the USBA, which is an association dedicated to creating new revenue streams, improve profitability, and improve technologies for small to medium banks. He also holds a portfolio of interest in luxury hospitality resort projects in the Intermountain West portion of the U.S., which has helped him build his net worth to well over $19 million. His wife's name is Christine. They're parents of 6 children, half of which live in the U.S. and the other half in Australia, with grandchildren on both continents. Peter has watched over the last several years as Americans stopped writing checks and began paying for everything with credit and debit cards, which has forced business owners to raise their prices on their goods and services enough to offset these transaction fees that they have to pay to the banks that issued the cards being used by their customers to make their purchases. And in the long run, this simply means that those fees are actually being paid from the pockets of the American people. Swap fees or transaction fees paid to banks in the U.S. by Americans have soared to $160.7 billion last year and continue to rise each year. Peter set himself a goal of tapping into his years of banking experience to come up with a way to help the American people get some of the massive transaction fee money they're paying out to be put back into their own pockets to help them stretch their budgets and make ends meet, while also helping the small community banks survive and grow in the process. And folks, because of his U.S. contacts in both manufacturing and banking, he came up with the most brilliant idea I have ever heard. It's called Transact Card. He has spent the last several years preparing for this by contracting with Visa, along with over 100 FDIC-insured community banks to issue these Transact Visa debit cards. The community banks desperately needed an influx of new customers with deposit money so they can use their Transact card to make purchases and pay bills. So these deposits are considered Tier 1 capital, which helps the banks to qualify to go to the Fed and borrow money at the discounted Fed rate, and then turn around and loan that money out to their customers and business owners in their local community at reduced interest rates. During the first 2 weeks of pre-launch of this new card, the bank they started with gained more new customers than their 20 locations in 11 states had brought in during the last 5 years combined. These community banks are so grateful for the influx of new customers from all over the U.S. and new capital that they have all agreed to give Transact Card the majority of the transaction fees so Transact can fund two amazing programs with that money. The first is called Z-Bucks, which rewards anyone who gets a Transact Card with dollar for dollar Z-Bucks on every swipe, meaning if they use their card to buy $100 worth of groceries, they'll be rewarded with 100 free Z-Bucks added to their account. They also reward us by giving us 500 free Z-Bucks when we swipe our card the very first time when we first get it, and 500 more free Z-Bucks every year on our anniversary date. In November this year, a new website called the Z Club will launch where we can use our Z-Bucks to buy down the price from 30 to 60% off of the retail price on products from almost every major U.S. manufacturer of appliances, tools, clothing, sporting goods, electronics, jewelry, you name it. Basically everything except perishable foods at a huge discount off of retail. Every Z-Buck we use will save us $1 when we use it, and they never expire. So when I use this card to buy $100 worth of groceries and I get 100 free Z-Bucks, I can use those Z-Bucks to save $100 on other things that I need. We basically get to spend our money twice. Talk about stretching our budget. It's absolutely brilliant, and you have to live in the United States to get one of these. So this is going to help every American family reduce the pressure they're under by stretching their budgets and making their dollars go twice as far. Americans can get a card for only $25, and if they find out about this and get one before the official launch in November, they actually get free renewals for life and double Z-Bucks on every single purchase until November of 2024. Meaning that when you buy $100 worth of groceries, gas, clothing, anything, you get 200 free Z-Bucks that you can use to save 200 on other things you might need down the road and purchase in the Z Club. Those who don't find out soon enough to get one until after the launch will pay a $25 annual renewal fee each year, but they'll still get 500 free Z-Bucks at renewal, so it's still going to be an incredible deal. Now for the best part. Peter has actually negotiated with the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, to allow Americans to become a digital branch officer, or DBO, and get paid on every swipe of every card allocated to their branch. Now, this is not an MLM or a network marketing thing like many of you have heard about in the past. It's totally unlike anything that's ever been done in history. And it's going to be fully regulated by the Federal Trade Commission as well as federally regulated FDIC banking practices. Becoming a DBO is something that most business-minded people, and especially small business owners, will want to do. Industry experts are expecting this amazing program to make history as it breaks records when it goes viral and word spreads all across the U.S. after the November launch. These experts feel Transact Card may capture up to 40% of the U.S. market in 2024 as it goes viral by just creating the largest migration of Americans changing from using their other cards over to the Transact Card. Just try to wrap your mind around what this means. If Transact Card only captures just 1%, let's go to the very bottom end, just 1% of the market, it's going to generate 1.6 billion free Z-Bucks for cardholders and pay out $16.7 million in swap commissions to the DBOs. It's obvious that all business-minded people are going to want to become a DBO. All those transaction fees have been going into the pockets of big corporate banking executives so long. It's time to get that money going back into your pocket for a change. Now, you're incredibly lucky that someone shared this with you so that you can get in on the ground floor during the pre-launch. So get back with the person who shared this with you right away. Get the details and get all your questions answered, so you can either save money by becoming a cardholder or save money and make money as a DBO. Congratulations on discovering this record-breaking concept before the masses. You're going to be able to brag to your grandkids that you are so smart that you actually joined Transact Card before most people even found out about it and helped make history in the process. You are going to love this thing. Thanks.